Is referendum presentation by Mr. Matt Eggert, of course, Brighton District 1 Administrator. So Matt is the principal or administrator of our school. I will tell you that everyone I have worked with at the school, and I'm there quite a bit, sings your praises. And you have done a great job in hard times, maintaining that children need to be in school, and you've kept that school open, and you've done it in a safe, thoughtful manner, and I think I can speak for all four of us that we really appreciate your contribution.
Thank you.
Yeah, and with that, the floor is yours, ma'am.
All right. Well, like you said, I'd like to also sing the praises of our teachers, and they're doing a phenomenal job right now. Like you said, we've been in school 5 days a week. The kids are taking their math tests right now, and they're showing great gains in math and reading. So, you know, no kid in Brighton goes without a good education. So, I just want to sing the praises of the teachers too. Overall, talking about the whole referendum process, we did a facility needs assessment. Just going through the overview of Brighton School. It was built in 1962. With additions in 1974 and 2001. 2001 was when the last referendum was passed, with the addition of the gym and the cafeteria. That old debt is falling off this April. So with a tax impact of 38 cents on top of what is current, we are proposing adding a couple of items that we think is directly for the benefit of the students. Initially, we went through a process. We had C.G. Schmidt and FGM architects come down. We had community members from various areas of expertise in construction, finance, education, and so yourself and most of the community. So we thought, you know, what is Brighton? So we're minimalists. We try to make the most of what we have. We don't need a lot of fluff, but the things that we are proposing, I think, will benefit the students directly. One of those is a STEM A lab. We're a big farming community. I think we get some of the kids that don't necessarily have the farming experience, some more hands-on experiences in the sciences. With Farm to Help Out the Community, maybe they go that route in the community. Another thing that we're proposing is a special education suite. We have a special education room right now that also serves as a RTI room. RTI stands for Response to Intervention. Basically, the students that need extra help receive math and reading in that room. And it kind of serves a dual purpose, and sometimes it gets a little packed. So what we're proposing is building a special education suite with occupational therapy room, speech therapy, physical therapy. We've got some students that work the 3 programs, so the state notifies us of students that are coming into our school that have special needs. So we have some in-district students that are going to need some attention. So we feel that we should, you know, try and service all of our students, and we think that that would be a good solution to make sure those kids get what they need. And also the band music room right now. I don't know if you guys have toured Brighton, but we got some tour dates coming up. I'll get into that a little bit later for people that want to do a walkthrough. But the art and music room right now is kind of looks like someone's old garage, to be honest. There's not a lot of room for storage of instruments and art projects, and what we're proposing is adding an additional room to serve as an art/music room, and then using the current room for storage for art supplies and band instruments to make enough room to be that functional. Right now, the band teacher does instrument music lessons in the speech room right now, makeshift speech room, during this time, and that is in the middle of the hallway and it interrupts classes, and it's just not the best solution right now. So we thought that a building that would take the noise away from the rest of the classroom, and then also give those kids enough space and an environment where they can thrive in the arts And initially we were talking about getting money for a FEMA storage shelter. We put that out in our community survey. However, after doing some research, it wasn't fully guaranteed. The price per square foot is astronomically higher to build that to FEMA standards than if you just build a normal room. So rather than spending extra money building the room to FEMA standards and then hoping that we get the money, we thought it would be better just to build what we need and then not get the feds involved with the FEMA grant at this time because it wasn't guaranteed. So without that guarantee, we didn't want to go that road. Talk a little bit more about Brighton. We have roughly 100 in-district kids and 100 open enrollment students. We receive about $10,000 for in-district students and about $8,000 for open enrolled students. Without the open enrolled students, it would affect our budget as far as staffing and everything. We might not be able to have one teacher for each grade. It might be split where one teacher would have kindergarten first, second, third. So those open enrollment students do help us, maintain a good educational environment for all the students. Plus, it's also a good way to get students from outside of Brighton and similar Brighton values in those kids.
Exactly. I'm just going to stop you for a minute because if you recall, at our annual meeting and meetings after that, people said that they questioned a great deal open enrollment and also made some questions about our school not being adequate size or they just questioned our school. And so I think it's important to note that we know is that a child who lives in Brighton, the school receives about $10,000. An open enrollment child, we receive $8,000. So of course, we are thankful for those open enrollment because it fills the schools. Although the best school that we can have is more Brighton children and then the rest open enrollment. So I just had to kind of review this again because I think it's a very important point.
Right.
And how many kids can you have total?
It all depends on January. We set the caps. So right now we cap 4K kindergarten at 18. And then going up like 2 more from there. So first grade 20, second grade 22. So roughly 230. I mean, if we wanted to really fill it, we could. I mean, you could probably get close to 250, 300, but from an educational standpoint, I don't think we ever want to do that.
But we're clearly significantly under.
Right. If you were talking about like development in Brighton,
Yes.
you would probably still fill 100 residency kids right now with what we have for open enrollment without adding on to the building.
So that's good. Thank you for clarifying that, Matt. I appreciate that.
Then I kind of want to go back to kind of talk about the process again, from the facility standpoint. So when we met, one of the things that through teacher interviews and the walkthrough that we did with the community, we just kind of said, just put down on cards what your thoughts are, what needs to get improved, and we started with a big picture and then kind of narrowed it down to what we thought was needed. So initially, some of the things that got brought up were 4K and 5K expansion. We're adding on to, making a bigger 4K and 5K room. Some of the things else that they proposed were conference rooms. They said that we don't have any conference rooms at Brighton. A secure vestibule, so if you walk into our building, there's probably like a little, 5x8 hallway where at the end of the day, in the past, we let parents in and they'd congregate and they'd pick up their kid and they'd leave. Not necessarily the safest because not necessarily checking everyone in and out. So this was kind of a good year to learn how to handle that differently. So right now, at the end of the day, we have, we all have radio, so I'll be outside and I'll radio it when the parent drives up, send so-and-so out, and we walk right to the car. So instead of spending extra money on a secure vestibule, we can just keep that same process and save, a couple $100,000, maybe $1 million on that by doing it that way. The conference rooms, that's not Brighton, we don't need conference rooms. We can easily have a board meeting in a library or a classroom that's not needed. And the 4K and 5K expansion, Again, not needed for what we have. So we were able to cut the overall cost by close to like $5 million. It was about $8-9 million from where we started, and we whittled it down to 3.975, which is a little bit higher than we put in the survey. We put 3.5 in the survey, but that was with the anticipation of maybe getting that FEMA grant. So by taking that out, we added a couple of extra things in the special education suite, in the library media center, put that in there. Where in the survey we initially asked if we got the grant, would you be willing to spend that extra grant money on those items? So that was the change in prices that we just asked initially for that price by lowering the cost of building the art music room instead of building up to the FEMA code. So that is pretty much the project. The tax impact, like I said, would be 38 cents on the mill rate. So if you had a $100,000 home, it would be $38 increase from this year, what you're paying this year. If you had a $200,000 home, it would be $76. We have a tax impact calculator on our Brighton website. If you click on, if you go to brightonschool.net, there's a tab at the top that says Referendum 2021. If you click on the tab, it's got a tax impact calculator tell you what your taxes will be for the year and also for the month. Kind of break it down that way. Also brought.
But you're passing those out. Right now, we're paying 37 cents on 100,000. The current referendum that will expire is 37 cents, right?
I believe so.
And so your referendum is going to be 38 cents, so it's a penny more? Is that how we look at this?
Let me verify that for you first, Sue. I know the overall impact is like 1.9 million as far as the mill rate to the tax set.
I think it's an additional 38 cents.
This would be on top of what you're paying now.
Yeah.
Would be-
So we-
The current referendum that's being paid off, add 38 cents. Maintaining what has been paid since '01, and then an additional 38 cents.
Oh, okay, so it's like 70-some cents, 100,000 or,
Well, I don't know what it was.
Okay.
I don't remember what it was.
It would be 38 cents on top of what you're
what
paying
we're
this
paying
year.
now. So it's not removing that and being about the same, it's an additional. Okay, okay, okay. And that is on the ballot in April.
April 6th, yes. And then we're also having like a building walkthrough, so February 27th and March 13th from 1 to 3. And then also, if anyone asks, I'm more than willing, if that doesn't work.
Which was it? February 27th and March what?
13th from 1 to 3,
Both days are 1 to 3?
yes. They're Saturdays.
Okay.
And I'd be more than willing to come in on a different day if someone wanted to see it, that's fine, just have them email me at school or something. And then also on March 17th from 6 to 7, I believe it's a Wednesday, we're having a community engagement. So if anyone wants to come in, and
What's the date again?
that will be March 17th.
And that time is?
6 to 7. That'll be the cafeteria break.
Good, questions for Matt? Dave? Have any questions?
Really, just for the county district,
School choice?
free enrollment, not free enrollment.
Open enrollment?
Open enrollment. I think, is there enough enrollment without them for the town of Brighton right now? Probably not.
No.
It would, yeah, it'd be really, you would have to probably cut off some staff. I mean, we're already bare bones as is, I mean,
Right.
we've got one teacher per grade level, and
It can't be who on that then, because it brings so much students. sections and everything that you're gonna be putting in there.
What's
You
that?
have a special ed section that you're putting in for children that have learning disabilities and everything. Being a father of a dyslexic daughter that went through the school, not here, but she started and they're testing for it. Is there teachers there for dyslexic children? We talked
Yeah, we will.
within your new proposal?
Yes, our special ed teacher actually got her special ed director license, so she's licensed.
Well, my daughter went through it, the state didn't recognize that as a learning disability.
Yeah, then we just came out with it last year, I think.
She's 28 now, and so she,
I think the state just started to recognize it. Last year, they can label that as a qualifying for special ed.
Mrs. Devon, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and she's really tremendous.
Yes.
Something I don't, if you mentioned it, it got by me, but I remember from the survey that I see here, part of this includes making that parking lot safer.
Yeah, sorry, I forgot to mention that, you're right. So, right now, the bus loop comes in front of the school, and then there's the parking lot. So the kids come in from the parking lot, and then they cross the bus lane. So in the mornings I'm out there, and I stop them from going or whatnot. But also during that, the parents that are dropping their kids off pull up, and there's a little sidewalk that goes across, but it's not elevated. And sometimes in the past, there'll be like a couple of cars here, and then someone, instead of backing out, pulls forward while a kid is crossing the sidewalk. And we had, last year we had a couple near misses, so this is something I don't want to chance. So I think having a separate parent drop-off where the parents could, kind of where the bus lane is now, just pull up, drop their kid off, let them know, and then continue on their way. It's kind of what we do for pickup, but have the drop-off be the same way, and have the buses drop the kids off in a different spot. I think would just put my mind at ease a little bit. Just from those two misses, I don't know.
Well, because that school is 50% open enrolled, that's a lot of parents dropping off, although there's district parents, I'm sure, also, but
Right.
the open enrolled kids aren't bused, correct?
Correct, I think you're right.
So it's a lot of cars.
There's a lot of
It's a lot.
cars, yes. And children don't ride the bus like they did 20 years ago.
Right.
And Mr. Edgar won't let him ride his snowmobile, so.
maybe tonight I can walk uphill.
Both ways.
Both
Yes.
ways, yeah.
In weather like this outside.
Never complain.
Mark, do you have any questions?
No, I don't have anything.
You don't have any. Linda, do you have a good question anymore?
No, through my very limited powers of IT, I was able to get your attachment on our website, and so people can see it there as well.
Yeah, it's a good thing. Yeah. Yeah. As long as we're all here, do you have any questions? No. I will just, because it's a town board meeting, I will just mention that Mr. Edgar and I work closely together on everything. One of the things that we might be doing is sometime next year, or this year, 2021, we may use the town hall and have the students be able to have a mock voting, so they actually come over here and vote. And so we'll work on opportunities like that.
We used to do it all the time.
Yeah, and so I think we'll start, and again, once COVID is over, I know the hall is ours to use for big meetings if we need it, and once COVID is over, of course, this is yours to use too, so we really make the most of it.
Well, just touching on what you're talking about, with the Kenosha Technical School over there, the high school, and with their SMV club, super mileage vehicle, and I'm the president of the club. And when we organized to be a corporation away from the school so we can use monies that we are getting for donations, it didn't have to go through the school system and get digged out. But one of my suggestions was to have almost like a governance with a couple students that sit on the board without voting, but they can still put input in everything. And as we all know, there's no young people coming up in politics. And I think something like that, if you have a couple of students that would be interested in it, I think we could discuss it and make it, give a learning
Yeah,
situation about politics and town board meetings and everything. They don't teach it at school either. Sorry.
right,
Just an input.
No, that'll be good.
yeah. And tied to what Dave said, actually at our Future of Brighton visionary meeting, last month Linda put together kind of a one-pager, and then Mrs. Decatur, who was a past teacher, she put together some historical information. And so we probably could, even for your upper grades, use some of that and kind of get to know Brighton a little better. So we could offer that to you too.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah, good. Well, if nothing more, thank you from all of us. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for your time.
Yes.